Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Kodash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations and much love to the rest of you sincere Akim, pushing the word in truth and sincerity. This is the cleric Izar coming at you with another lesson. I'm continuing in my lot to bring you my ongoing series from excerpts of Hollywood, this factory of perverseness, another observation of predictive programming, and how art imitates life and vice versa. Just a reminder, the purpose of my videos is to show correlations. A correlation is an observation of a mutual relationship or connection between two or more things. I use movie scenes to extract or extrapolate a narrative. I'm not glorifying the Hollywood culture or life. I have a wide knowledge of films, whether they be foreign or domestic, and I just use snippets as an example to bring out similarities and those correlations. I call this lesson, The Wasteland Approaches. The image or the scene I'm about to display is from a movie I watched when I was younger. Of course, when I came into the truth, I reflected on this particular scene. This movie was released on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1981. The title of it is Mad Max 2. It was released as Mad Max 2 in Australia. It was released as The Road Warrior in the United States. Its director is George Miller. It is a sequel to Mad Max. And basically, this movie's scene synopsis is narrator is delivering an opening monologue. Now, this is following a global war and the collapse of civilization after oil supplies have been nearly exhausted, and the world is in a state of barbarism or barbarism. Also, just some quick historical trivia. James Cameron cited this movie as one of his influences behind the Terminator. Now, I've done a previous video where I included a clip from the Terminator, and I know countless other brothers, including our elder apostles, have spoken about Terminator, Terminator 2, and some of the other sequels in that particular saga. But in the Mad Max series, it's basically set in the apocalyptic future where the bombs, of course, have already gone off, and there's a wasteland filled with a lot of desert, just lack of water, lack of food. There's no government, there's no rules or laws basically set up. So it's every man for himself, okay? But I'm going to play this clip, and I may even pause it and bring out some scriptures. But just some things I want to go over first is when you watch this clip, there's going to be several precepts going to come to mind because we're steadily and rapidly approaching these particular times. It's going to talk about a time where oil was the main source of income. And if you're familiar with the petrodollar, that's going to be changing very soon with the new pipeline that's being planned and constructed in the Middle East. The financial system will collapse as well, bringing forth the MOTB. Now, unless you've been under a rock or just young, you would and should be familiar with what has been occurring over the Middle East over the past 30 years, and even more, even longer, with the wars and invasions that America or Babylon the Great has orchestrated. Now, eventually, the clip's going to mention a desert springing forth great cities of pipe and steel. So this opening monologue is also showing what eventually will happen to America or Babylon the Great once the ICBMs rain down on this place in World War III. Once that happens, America or Babylon the Great will turn into one vast desert. It also talks about a house being built with straws, talking about the story of the three pigs. And we should all know how that story takes place without me having to bring it out. All right, because we know that in the story of the three pigs, you have the house with straws, house with pigs. I'm sorry, the house with twigs, pigs, Slovakia, as well as the house of brick. And of course, the house of straw isn't really built on a strong foundation. Just like America, Babylon the Great was constructed on blood and robbery and murder. Woe to the bloody city, roughly paraphrasing that scripture. Okay, but in this future of Babylon the Great is destruction. It's going to talk about chaos and two tribes fighting one another. So Jacob and Esau should come to mind, along with Yahweh Shai, who you people ignorantly call Jesus Christ, spoke of in Matthew chapter 24 when he said nation rising against nation. Okay, he's also going to mention looting and commotions once the chaos ensues. Let me go play this clip, and I'm going to bring out some scriptures.
My life road warrior, the man we call Max. To understand who he was, you have to go back to another time, when the world was powered by the black fuel, and the desert sprouted great cities of pipe and steel.
All right, you see that? Talking about that the black fuel and the cities, or the desert springing up cities of pipe and steel. Okay, so this person is speaking in a past tense of what the world was prior to this destruction happening. All right, because like I said, eventually once the bombs drop in World War III, you know, America, aka Babylon the Great, is going to be a one vast desert. Okay, with nobody actually inhabiting this place. So this is where this movie kind of goes off. It has actually people living in the desert and so forth. You know, just like in movies like The Book of Eli, and even in the future of the Terminator and things of that sort, you see people scavenging and looting and pillaging, you know, other people. And that's still going to happen, but it's going to happen prior to the bombs actually dropping. Okay. Let me play this video going. I'm going to continue on.
Gone now, swept away. For reasons long forgotten, two mighty warrior tribes went to war and touched off a blaze which engulfed them all.
Okay, you see that? All right, so eventually we're going to get to that Battle of Armageddon. Eventually we're going to get to World War III. Eventually we're going to get to the Valley of Yehoshaphat. Eventually, these end time prophecies are going to come to pass. Okay, with all this war being started, all right, and making a lot of things happen on a global scale. Okay, I'm going to continue on here.
Without fuel, they were nothing. They built a house of straw.
See that? Without fuel, they were nothing. They built a house of straw. Okay, because that's basically a house not being built on a strong foundation. Okay, and you know, at one point, America, Babylon the Great, was a strong bully that was bullying people for their oil and their resources and things of that sort. Now it's getting to a certain point where certain nations, well, I'm not going to mention, but they're looking for other sources of fuel and things of that sort, so they don't have to depend on that so-called petrodollar. Okay, and at one point, that's going to orchestrate or culminate in this particular financial system collapsing, like I was saying earlier. Okay, let me continue on here in this video.
The thundering machine sputtered and stopped.
See that how it says the thundering machine sputtered and stopped? That makes you think about Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3 and 4, where it says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease." You see that? Because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Verse 4, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low." Okay? And it continues on. Let me continue on this video here.
Their leaders talked and talked and talked.
All right, when it says the leaders talked and talked, that's going to be just an orchestrated play for the people to think that our so-called leaders, these presidents, these prime ministers, and so forth, are going to be thinking about a plan to actually help. But the real leaders are the banking elite, all right, like the Rothschilds, Oppenheimers, DuPonts, et cetera, and those are the ones that are going to be the true leaders that are orchestrating everything behind the curtain, like as you see in like Wizard of Oz. But it's gonna, to the masses of people, they're gonna be looking to their presidents and so forth. All right. Let me continue on playing this video here.
But nothing could stem the avalanche.
All right, nothing could stem the avalanche. It's just like a little snowball when it's at the top of the mountain and it's rolled down. You know, it causes it. Well, for one, the snowball gets bigger and it hits other things. It causes more things to fall, and just like a set of dominoes, it's like a domino effect. Okay, let me continue on playing here.
Their world crumbled. The cities exploded. A whirlwind of looting.
You see that? And that's what's going to be coming near America, aka Babylon the Great, real soon. Okay. And let me go into the Apocrypha, and this clip's going to go into some of the things that is that it talks about. Second Esdras chapter 15. We'll start at the 14th verse. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and of course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay. Now, just like I was saying before, they shall not regard their kings or princes, so they're not going to be considering the governing bodies that are in charge over the lands, all right, because it's going to get at a certain point where people aren't going to be able to get the things that they need or want, all right, and it's going to make things be really difficult out here, all right. It's also going to go into some other things. Let me continue on bringing out this video here, and I'm going to go into some further scriptures here. But looting is definitely coming in a larger scale to this continent and to other continents around the world. But the main stage is going to be here in America, aka Babylon the Great.
A firestorm of fear. Men began to feed on men.
Okay. Yeah, that could be actually interpreted twofold. Because the reason for that lack of bread is clearly in the news with these supply chain crisis, and everything's really going to get really worse. But cannibalism is coming to America, all right, where there's going to be people that can't get something to eat, and they're going to be eating each other. Let's go back to 2 Esdras 15, starting at the 17th verse. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right, didn't it just say in this clip how a whirlwind of fear or something like that?
Crumbled. The cities exploded. A whirlwind of looting. A firestorm of fear.
See that? Firestorm of fear. All right. So verse 18 reads again. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men. Okay. And that's what's going to happen eventually here. It's going to get so bad that most likely martial law is going to be declared. Okay. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay. Let me continue on playing this video here.
Men began to feed on men. On the roads it was a white line nightmare. Only those mobile enough to scavenge, brutal enough to pillage would survive. The gangs took over the highways. Okay,
that goes back to that scripture I just finished reading. 2 Esdras 15, verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. All right. Now, that's also several different things can be interpreted from that, because there's going to be certain roadblocks. You know, you're not going to, if you don't have the MOTB, or most likely the jab or the yab, as our elder apostle Tar always says, you're not going to be able to enter certain places. There's going to be certain outposts and things of that sort. There's going to be certain internment camps set up, and these FEMA camps, so forth. And it's going to get really bad out here. Okay. Let me continue on playing on this. Yeah, but just going down the street and just going across the street, those days are going to be over very soon. Okay. And there's going to be people be bashing each other's head in just from exiting the supermarket or the Walmart or one of their local mom and pop stores with food, and it's going to get really, really bad, and no one's going to care about police. 911's not going to be working. You know, it's really going to be. You can already see the amount of policemen that are, quitting their jobs over this yab. So, okay, bear with me just a moment here. Slovakia. Let me continue playing this video here.
Ready to wage war for a tank of juice.
All right, now you see these gas prices. I just went out and filled my car up today, and It's getting up there. So this inflation is gonna increase. Hyperinflation is gonna set in, and it's gonna get really bad. All right. This also is spoken of in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Okay, now that people that's going to be delivered is talking about the elect. Okay, written in the book of life. Okay. And Yahushua, the one you annually call Jesus Christ, spoke about this as well, as I was saying earlier, from Matthew chapter 24. But we're going to go to the verse 21, and it reads, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Okay, so we're coming to a climatic time in human history where it's going to be so bad it's never been this bad on the planet Earth before in history. Okay, I'll continue on playing this video through. I think it's almost done anyway. It only says so much.
And in this maelstrom of decay, ordinary men were battered and smashed. Men like Max.
Okay, now in that particular scene, if you're familiar with the Mad Max film series or franchise, the first film, he's living just an ordinary life, house, picket fence, wife, kid, dog, and a lot of people are going to be losing their wives in this time. Roughly paraphrasing the scripture says the houses shall be ravished, the women shall be ravished, the kids can be dashed upon the stones and so forth. A lot of people are going to lose their family members. All right. It's going to get really crazy. But I'm going to end it on this. Reading Jeremiah chapter 30, I'm going to start at the 4th verse. And these are the words that the Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. All right, now Israel and Judah, those are the two kingdoms, the northern and the southern kingdom. All right, you blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, verse 5. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Okay, because real soon people are going to think everything's getting back to normal. We're coming to a more peaceful and stable time. These particular numbers are going down concerning this pandemic, as I should call it, and so forth. But it's just going to flip overnight, really soon. Okay, reading verse 6. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that he is talking about the elect. Okay. So we get a chance, even if you haven't already, you can check out the Mad Max film series, because it's really talking about some of the things are definitely coming in the pipeline, I should say, no pun intended, here in America, aka Babylon Great, in different vast parts of the planet Earth. But mainly, like I said, the main stage is going to be America. Okay, well, I just wanted to share that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, who gives me the strength and the spirit to continue to strive and endure these last days. Shalom to the hopeful elect, and on to the next video.